More than half of the world's economy depends on a narrow strip of water whose width at some points is only 21 miles. If this route were blocked even for a single day, oil prices across the world would skyrocket. The global economy could crash, and it might even trigger World War III. In 2025 and 2026, the conflict between United States, Israel, and Iran pushed this strategic route into flames. Ships were attacked, naval mines were laid in the sea, and eventually an order was issued to shut it down. Today, we are going to talk about one of the world's biggest geopolitical choke points, Strait of Hormuz. Why is it so important? And why does every major power want control over it? Let's find out. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow sea passage located between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. To the north lies Iran. To the south are the United Arab Emirates and Oman, including Oman's Musandam Peninsula. If we talk about its size, length, about 104 miles, 167 kilometers, width, between 60 miles, and at its narrowest point, only 21 nautical miles, 39 kilometers. Geographical conditions. What does this place actually look like? According to ancient mariner guides from the 1st century, the area around this strait is surrounded by steep and dangerous mountains. One side contains the Kalon mountain range, while the other side is dominated by the massive Asaban Mountains. And further ahead lies the towering Semiramis Range. These rugged mountains turn the strait into a natural fortress. Historical importance. This route is not new. It has been important for centuries. The name Hormuz is believed to come from the ancient Persian deity Ahura Mazda, sometimes referred to as Hormuz. Another theory suggests it comes from the local date palms once abundant in the region. From the 15th century to the 18th century, the Portugal and later the United Kingdom dominated this route. Why? Because whoever controlled this strait effectively controlled a large portion of global trade. Why is this route used so much? The answer is simple. Black gold oil. The Strait of Hormuz is the only sea route that connects the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. You might be surprised to know, around 25% of the world's seaborne oil trade passes through this strait. Nearly 20% of global liquefied natural gas, LNG shipments, travel through here every year. According to 2018 figures, around 21 million barrels of oil per day pass through this route. By 2025, the number was still massive, about 18 to 19 million barrels per day of crude oil, condensates, and fuel products. Which countries depend on it? Countries such as Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq, Iran, Qatar, Bahrain all depend heavily on this single route for exporting their oil. Most of this oil goes to Asian markets, especially China, India, Japan, South Korea. If this route is blocked, the economic engines of these nations could stall. A history of conflict violence in this region is nothing new. During the Iran-Iraq War in 1984, a phase known as the Tanker War began, where oil tankers were directly targeted. In 1988, the United States Navy accidentally shot down Iran Air Flight 655, killing 290 civilians. Modern tensions. In recent years, tensions have escalated again. In 2019, explosions damaged the oil tankers. Front Altair oil tanker, Kokuka, Courageous oil tanker. In July 2019, Iran seized the British-flagged tanker Stena Impero oil tanker. In April 2024, Iran also seized the Portuguese-flagged container ship MSC Ares container ship, which had 17 Indian crew members on board. The main reason behind these incidents was political pressure and economic sanctions. Whenever the United States or European countries imposed sanctions on Iran or tried to block its oil exports, Iran responded by threatening shipping in the strait. The message was clear. If Iran cannot sell its oil, then no one else will either. The 2025 to 2026 crisis. The most dangerous moment arrived in 2025, and 2026. On June 14, 2025, Israel launched strikes on Iranian military and nuclear infrastructure. In response, Iran threatened to block the Strait of Hormuz. Then, on June 22, 2025, the United States carried out direct strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. Soon after, Iran's parliament passed a historic vote to close the strait. In 2026, after the assassination of Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, declared that ships would no longer be allowed to pass through the strait. On March 2, 2026, the IRGC confirmed the closure and warned that any ship entering the area could be attacked. On March 12, 2026, 3 cargo vessels were hit. 17 oil tankers were forced to turn back. Iran even blocked 2 Chinese ships from passing through the route. At the same time, Iranian forces reportedly placed around a dozen naval mines in the water. Impact on oil prices. Before these tensions, oil prices were around $70 per barrel. But after the strikes in 2025, analysts predicted prices could surge to $100 to $150 per barrel. Shipping insurance rates also jumped from 0.125% to 0.4%, increasing costs for large oil tankers by millions of dollars. Why not build an alternative route? A logical question arises. If this route is so dangerous, why doesn't the world simply build an alternative? In fact, attempts have been made. The United Arab Emirates built a pipeline that bypasses the Strait of Hormuz and transports oil directly to the open sea. But there are major limitations. 1. Capacity. The pipeline cannot handle the full 21 million barrels per day that normally pass through the strait. 2. Geography. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Iraq have infrastructure that is entirely oriented toward the Persian Gulf. Building new export routes would take years and billions of dollars. 3. China's dependence. China relies heavily on this route for its energy imports. The final twist. Interestingly, even Iran itself depends on this strait to export its oil. Experts say closing the strait for a long period would be economic suicide for Iran, because its economy heavily relies on oil exports. That's why Iran often uses the strait as a strategic bargaining chip. Threaten to close it, but rarely shut it down completely. Conclusion. The Strait of Hormuz is not just a narrow waterway. It is the jugular vein of the global economy. From ancient mountain fortresses described in the 1st century to modern naval warfare in 2026, this passage has always been at the center of power, trade, and conflict. As long as the world depends on oil, the struggle for control over this 21-mile-wide corridor will continue. What do you think? Will the world eventually find a permanent alternative to this route? Or will ordinary people continue paying higher fuel prices because of geopolitical rivalries? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video with another fascinating topic.